Hey guys, so what's up YouTube? I know it's been quite a while since I've uploaded the video, but the reason why I think is just because it's been the doldrums of winter, cloudy days. I just wasn't feeling very motivated. But in that time, I have accumulated quite a bit of a haul, so this is going to be a haul video, and I hope you like it. First thing I think I will show you is this. I ransacked our local video rental place because they are having a going out of business sale, and I got these. I got a bunch of DVDs for like $2 each. It wasn't that bad. Let's see. So I picked up Valley of the Sun. Never seen it, but it looks like a comedy. I dig comedies, but I really, really like movies that are in some way magical. Definitely horror. I love slasher films. Anything gothic, witchy related, totally on board with that. Because tomorrow's my birthday, I'm definitely going to go out looking to see if I can find the complete box set to the series Salem, which I totally missed. It was just a badass show. Loved it to death. And speaking of which, I bought The Witch. My mom can stand watching it. She watched about half of it, and she had to go to another room. It really freaked her out. It actually ended up giving her nightmares. Let's see. The Rock and Hercules. Sinister 1. Sinister 2. One of the best new horror movies I've seen in a very long time. Extremely creative. Very well done. Had us guessing until the very end. My brother, who hates horror movies, was actually standing up watching it because he couldn't sit down. Yeah, my folks actually believe me for him not liking horror movies because they said that I forced him to watch scary movies when he was younger, and I don't know. I might have had something to do with it. You tell me. I bought an old occult movie, The Devil's Reign, starring William Shatner. I was spacing on his name. Daniel Radcliffe in the horns. I have a thing for really, really hot guys in horns. Maybe it's because of my personal devotion to the horn god. But I also have The Legends of Hercules, and the guy must have been hired for his looks alone because he cannot act worth a damn. Class of the Titans, which is a bastardization, in my opinion, of the original Class of the Titans. I also have Wrath of the Titans, because why not? I have the remake of Ben-Hur, which I've never seen the original. I have never seen this one, so we'll see what it's like. I'd really like to see the original. I love old movies from the golden era of Hollywood, but it's really hard to get a hold of those now. No one really sells them, and you can't find them streaming online. So that sucks. What about The Immortals, which is kind of a good movie. I really looked for Gods of Egypt, but they didn't have it. The ABCs of Death. I've never heard of this. It looks like an anthology type film. So I hope I hope it's good. And Thor. I also bought. What was it? I also bought Warcraft, which I really liked it when I first saw it. I genuinely hope they do a sequel to it because it was really kind of good. It reminded me of another movie I saw on TV twice. I don't know the name of it, but if anyone knows what this movie is called, let me know because I'd like to look for a copy. It involves a pilot from a space age travel type civilization who crash lands on a planet that's still sort of in the medieval era. It's got lots of references to Germanic Norse type mythology and deities, but it also has these creatures that are battling the entire time that sort of luminesce and glow, so these bright neon colors. So if anyone knows the name of that movie, let me know. I'd really like to look it up. But I also bought a favorite of mine, Stardust. Michelle Pfeiffer is gorgeous in this. Oh my god, she's just the most beautiful actress I think I know of. And if you didn't never tried Peach Crush, oh my god, I totally recommend it. It's like my new crack. Okay, so the movies out of the way. I have been having a heyday at the half price bookstore lately, and the thing is, I've been finding books, really good books, that are totally misplaced throughout the store. They are in on shelves that they really shouldn't be at. The shelves have no relation to the subject of the book at all. So I'm really glad that I'm able to find these books and really further my research in the book that I am writing, which is sort of a master class on the subject of herbal magic. And one of these books was The Hand of Destiny by C.J.S. Thompson, and he's written quite a few books. I have I think another one of his books somewhere around. But the thing about this book is, it actually materialized for me. Strangely enough, when I'm looking for a particular book, more often than not, it will just sort of materialize for me. Unless it's particularly rare, then I'm usually SOL and have to spend a little more money than I'm comfortable with buying it. But yeah, I had just asked my local librarian to get this book in for me because, I'm cheap, and she couldn't find it anywhere through interlibrary loan, so she decided to buy it for me for the library, and I ended up finding it at the Harper's bookstore the day after, no, the day before it arrived. So that was kind of interesting. Actually, when I found this book, I was browsing through the metaphysical section, and there was someone else in the aisle with me. Don't know who she was. Anyway, we were sort of dancing around each other as I was browsing, and all of a sudden, my intuition drew me toward this shelf above her head that I had never really paid much notice to. I only know that this book wasn't there last time I was in the store a few days prior, because I clearly would have seen a big red book there. It wasn't, the other books there were black and blue. But my intuition totally drew me to that shelf, and then the first thing I saw was the cover, and then the title came in the book, and I'm like, hey, I've been looking for that book. So I pulled it down, and it was the exact book that I was looking for. Made a beeline out the store, bought it, all good. Another book I bought that was totally misplaced is The Lore of Spices. It contains a lot of information that I didn't even know about, which surprises me only because I know so much about the subject already that when I learn something new, I'm really impressed by that resource, and this is an extremely impressive resource. This actually happens to be in the cookbook section, and there's not a single recipe in it. Now, the other book I found at the Harper's bookstore is the Dictionary of Symbols, which was originally either a French or German book. This is the English translation of that book. by Hans Biermann. Yeah, I'm assuming German then. The thing with this book, though, is it wasn't where the other books on symbolism usually are, which is in the metaphysical area. This book was actually in the anthropology section, and if I had not just been browsing there one day, I never would have found it. So I'm really glad that I looked in an area that I don't look at too often, because the anthropology section usually doesn't have as large a turnover in terms of new books that are added there, at least not in my half-price bookstore. But I'm really glad I found it. It's the second book, I believe, on symbols, or the second dictionary of symbols that I own. It is, of course, by a different author. Now, this book was a gift, and I really, really, really love it. It is Bull of Heaven by Michael G. Lloyd, and if you haven't read it, it's an engrossing read. I've barely been able to put it down. I've only been able to put it down when I have been busying myself with other work, such as working on my own book on magical herbalism. The author was kind enough um, to give the person who bought it for me a hardback edition, which you can't buy anymore. My only concern with this book is, well, there aren't really any typographical errors. The only actual errors in the book are italicization where that needs to be there, and it's not. Like the names of magazines, articles, and books, things like that. But really, it's a fabulous book. My only real concern, of course, is the quality of the paper and the stock of the cover of the book, because both are extremely thin. The pages aren't quite Bible thin, but you can still see the text of the previous page through them, and pages the photos are printed on are ever so slightly warped. That's really my only concern, and I don't think that's something that the author is really able to help, which I can totally understand. I'm absolutely sympathetic to that. Honestly, I really would have liked to have seen this published by an academic press. If anything, it really deserved to have been published by an academic publisher, because it's that good. It's that important to the subject of pagan studies. Okay, so these next three books came to me from Routledge Press, and Routledge never sends me books, so I was really excited to get them. The first book is a reprint of an early antiquarian book from 1940. It's called Holy Images, and idol worship is something that I'm extremely interested and passionate in. In fact, it's a book that I eventually plan to write when my plate is a little less full. Pop Pagans, Paganism and Popular Music, edited by Donna Weston and Andy Bennett. The only thing really missing from this book is sort of not so much a history, but a report on pagan musicians that have really been influential to the pagan community over the years, such as Emerald Rose and Incubus Succubus. I could go on and on and on. Listen to names, but yeah, really sort of a biography of really influential pagan musicians would have really rounded this book out. And the unusually titled Credomania, Modern Desires for the Minoan Past. And oh my god, I'm crazy about good book design, but this cover, this cover has such an unusual texture. I just love feeling it. Anyway, it's edited by Nicoletta Momigliano and Alexandre Farno. It actually includes an article on the Minoan Brotherhood titled Credomania and Neo-Paganism, the Great Mother Goddess and Gay Male Identity in the Minoan Brotherhood. And it was a good article. It really was. I just wish he hadn't cited Cynthia Eller, who is, she's sort of an academic cynic these days. She is sort of on par with Ronald Hutton, only sort of the feminist version of him. She wrote this ludicrous book called The Myth of Matriarchal Prehistory, in which she lumped in very centrist, middle-of-the-road scholars with extreme matriarchal feminists, which she titled feminist matriarchalists, and she just absolutely dismissed their work, all of it, even the very central, very middle-of-the-road approach, as being bullshit. The only research she took seriously was the extremely skeptical work that is so cynical and so skeptical that it's almost ludicrous when you read what her conclusions are. But back to this book. The only flaws, and there were extremely few, is that I would have liked him to have listed the names, even just the craft names of the Minoan brothers that he interviewed for this book. Only because I feel that that's important in an academic sense. Otherwise, you're like, well, who did he interview? I don't know. Is he just sort of making it up as he goes? Who knows? But if you at least have that documentation, you get more of an assured sense that he actually has done his field work. But he didn't. The only other minor error is he just transposed something very simple. He mentioned that that Gardnerian high priestesses use the labrys to cast a circle with, whereas the Minoan Brotherhood uses the covenant sword. And you got to switch those two around because it's the other way around. But that's really the only error he made, and it's an otherwise excellent article. I really enjoyed it. It's the first time an academic article has really been published about that tradition of witchcraft, and I was really excited to see it. Okay, now, also from the Hepburn bookstore, I bought 2 new tarot decks. The Victorian Fairy Tarot, which I had wanted earlier this year, I think sometime last summer, and I'm really excited to get started using it. Something I do with my fairy-themed tarot decks, though, is, and I'll have to grow some time this year to continue that practice with this new deck. But every year I tend to grow time, and I haven't grown it in a few years, so I haven't done it in a few years. But what I do with my fairy-themed tarot decks is I will pick a sprig of fresh thyme and just toss it in the cloth bag that I keep my fairy themed tarot deck in, so that the thyme will, over time, infuse the deck with its scent and make it more perhaps more appealing for the fairies to come in and sort of check me out, check out the deck, see what I'm doing. Because thyme is a fairy herb and one that they really do find quite appealing. So today I asked for some advice from the fairies, and because you can really use fairy-themed tarot decks almost as oracle decks, which is really nice. But I drew the Vicar, which is really the Hierophant of the standard tarot deck, and I believe it's telling me to pay attention to nature, to synchronistic events that are happening, to look out for signs and symbols. So that is definitely what I'm going to be doing throughout this week and during my birthday. Now, another deck I acquired, which I really, really, really freaking love, is the Golden Botticelli deck. I adore this deck. My only disappointment was it didn't come with the little white book, so what specific relevance to art of these Botticelli paintings and each tarot card that they're used to represent, I'm not entirely sure. But I have been having some fun using these two new tarot decks to create some new tarot spreads with. Because tomorrow's my birthday, I created sort of a what-if tarot spread based on someone who had broken my heart. And really, as you're getting older, you tend to ask yourself more of these what-if questions. And it's something I think that we tarot readers shouldn't overlook either as we age, as we evolve, as we develop our own unique tarot spreads. So, my witches, I'm sort of looking around, seeing if I forgot anything, and I have not. That's really been it. So, I want to thank you and bid you adieu, and I really want to extend my love to you. So, until next time, my witches, keep calm and witch on. If I could recommend only one book on purple magic until mine is published, it would be this book. So if you need to beg, borrow, or steal for this book, don't really steal for this book. I'm just kidding. I don't want to get into trouble for recommending thievery, but